Welcome to the Three Body Narrative Podcast. We are your hosts, Pradyum, Aaron, and Naeem. But today, we're unfortunately without Aaron, and that's because he hasn't watched this particular TV show. What is it? Well, let me tell you. It is fucking diabolical, mate. No, it isn't. It's actually The Boys, season 5, the final season. So before we get to discussing about the show, well, let me just give you a brief of what it is. In season 5 of The Boys, the world is closer than ever to falling completely under Homelander's control. The boys are scattered, hunted, and running out of options, while Butcher becomes increasingly desperate in his final attempt to stop the soups once and for all. The season builds towards an all out endgame between power, loyalty, and revenge. So, with that being said, I'm going to start with the reviews or our ratings for this TV show. I'm going to go first. I'm going to put myself in the line of fire here.
This TV show or for this series finale? Like
Good
the
question, which is why I didn't say that because I'm going to reveal that as and when I give my rating, right?
okay, okay.
So I think I'm gonna give it for this particular season. Again, not the entire series, right? So for this particular season, I am going to give The Boys season 5 a 2 out of 5. Okay. I was contemplating actually going a little lower, but what I think worked for me was that I think the endings were deserved.
Yeah.
Okay. I just like that. I think the endings were right. But by God, I mean, what I expected versus what I got is a whole different, ball game. Like it was completely, I don't know, underwhelming, uh, disjointed. I I just feel like from where we last left off, and that is, I guess, with season 2 of Gen V and what we were building up to, which is going to be what I believe to be this all-out
Damn.
brawl between, yeah, an all-out brawl between the good guys and the bad guys, right? Uh, I think after watching this entire show or this entire season, I had just one question. What was the point of Gen V? Right? And maybe I guess the season 3 got canceled and then maybe it was supposed to carry on. But yeah, I just did not see the point of that ending of Gen V season 2. And I think if we didn't get that and we just left it to being what the boys was, which is essentially Huey and Butch's and the team versus Homelander and his seven, I probably would have appreciated it a lot more. Because at the end of
Mm,
the day, the boys is actually just those people, right?
yeah.
And I think I would have maybe upped my rating, but yeah, it was bizarre because you had set this up to be an end game sort of scenario, but you spent the first 4 5 episodes just finding V1, right? And yeah, so I felt like the way that the show or the season was paced was completely wrong. I think things were becoming a lot more satirical than they used to be. I think earlier it used to be, I wouldn't say subtle, but they used, yes, it was politically also connected and they were trying to make it was a political satire of sorts, but here I felt it just became all about it,
Mm,
right? And I think that took away the fun of it. And there were a lot of things which I was a little iffy about. Soldier Boy, God knows what happened, like you brought him, did stuff, and then again just shelved him off. So a lot of characters that were kind of sidelined. And I yeah, at the end of the day, I just felt like yes, the characters got what they deserve, but was it j- a nice ride to the end? Definitely not.
cool. So my rating. Okay, so if I look at this specific season, as a season in itself, cutting out everything that came before and anything that came parallel to it, which is Gen V, I would give this a 2.5. Like just looking at this specific season in itself, there's not too much inherently wrong with it, but it's not like the problem with problem with it is the series finale to one of the best shows that I have personally watched ever. And to me, that is the problem it faces in terms of where it's expected to be, especially with how much consistent quality they've been able to give season over season. And then to arrive here and then it kind of fell flat on more than one occasion, does not live up to some of the other series that have gone on to be like legendary in status. By the time they get to that final season, they've kind of run out of steam, or they've just gone or steered way off path. It's something similar along with this, and I completely agree. I think the whole aspect on focusing on the satire, which I don't understand. Like, I'm all for satire when it helps further the story, but not at the cost of that becoming the focus as opposed to the story in itself. And that is a major problem for me. So my actual rating for this season, considering the overall, because you cannot rate it as a singular this thing itself, is also a 2 out of 5. Because there are serious pacing issues with this season. A lot is left to the end, which is clear because when you arrive where you're supposed to arrive, a lot of the time, like there's still too much to kind of wrap up. And that's a problem for the series, right? Because the whole final battle, I feel like they completely nerfed Homelander there. Like it landed where it needed to, but the way it got there and how quickly it got there kind of just made it seem like that was it. Like really, like it didn't feel like it was earned, or it just made Homelander seem a lot more stupid than he really is, kind of a thing as well. Like, I know he's proud and he's like, in the sense that uh, he doesn't necessarily, he's not the smartest of the superheroes, right? And that's pretty clear. And with Sage not on his side, obviously he's not got that going for him. But I just thought he would put up a bigger fight until the eventual this thing. Like the whole arc of Kimiko kind of taking his powers out and all, that's brilliant. Like that's where it should have definitely arrived at. And I love the fact that it's he becomes as puny as he does in those final moments. Like that's
Yeah.
wonderful to see, and that's exactly how I would have wanted it, and that's one of the reasons it gets a 2, if not lower, right? Like because the way it ends, it's brilliant. Even the sequence between Huey and Butcher, like towards the end, like how that all goes and wraps up and stuff. That's really nice. The only problem is, I think, again, Gen V completely useless in terms of the grand aspect of things. But the problem with this is, I think, unlike before, these days it's never really the end when you say it's the end. There are always spin-offs in play. There are studios, like executives who are like saying, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Like we still want some of these things to kind of branch on to other things. So I feel in a lot of ways you don't really see the true vision of the director or actor or whatever, because they have to constantly think in terms of, oh, I still need to further the story in a certain way. Like the while I do finish off the original story, I still need to make sure there are enough branches that can be worked upon eventually. And I think that does a major disservice to series such as this, which started off so brilliantly. Like the season one
Yeah.
and two were phenomenal for me. And from that, even like last season, right? Like you mentioned, the stakes were so high. Even with Gen V, the way it ended, the second season and all of that stuff, it just felt there was so much more grand, like a grand battle was in the waiting. And it also, I understand there are budget constraints, right? Like, which is why
Ye-
it becomes difficult to have those grand scheme battles where you have multiple superheroes going at each other and stuff like that. It becomes complicated. I get all of that, but final season, considering the following the boys has had, you would think you'd make it work somewhere or somehow, kind of a thing. So yeah, disappointed with the journey in this final
hmm.
season, but not necessarily the destination in itself. Because that last bit of sequence, once he loses his power, my God, Anthony Starr is like definitely a standout star. What brilliant acting, both of them, right? Like even Carl Urban for sure, no doubt. But just those guys exchanging those dialogues, and the way he like completely sheds that uh proud, very threatening character of sorts, that Homelander tends to be, to then just being like some guy who's like just wants to clutching at any straw that he can get to kind of live on for as long as he can, basically. So that was really nice to see. So yeah, that's my rating, 2 out of 5. I wish I
Okay.
could have rated it better, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so do I. I think going into this, I definitely wanted it to like land its ending quite well. Like have a smooth landing, right? Like not become one of those shows like a Game of Thrones or a How I Met Your Mother or stuff like that. But uh yeah, I mean, at least I could say that the like I said, the characters got what they deserved, which unlike the other two that I mentioned was a complete farce. So I think that with that being said, what do you want to go? What do you want to address first? The elephant in the room, which is Gen V, or you want to address the ending and sort of the characters and the sort of
I
endings
think
that they got?
let's quickly get Genvi out of the way, because
Yeah,
just like these guys did, right? Like once they realized that that's not required or that's not a big
yeah.
part, let's get them done
But
and
see,
dust.
honestly, when you spoke about budget and fine. I mean, I guess that's also was on my mind. Like, could they afford all these actors and have all of them come in the sort of final season? But the whole point is then don't have them in the end of Gen V season to be a part of the rebellion and build up this entire momentous occasion or this end game sort of uh, vision, right? Like I could have easily been okay with a Gen V cameo if we didn't have that ending to Gen V season 2 that okay they're doing something with the rebellion blah 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 or you built Marius to be this sort of bloodbender and you got rid of Thomas Godolkin, you were hinting at the fact that she would play a part in Homelander's demise. But yeah, I mean, I just saw a pretty hilarious meme which said that, you know, everyone talking about how Marie is going to play this very important role. And then the next thing is like she did play an important role because she turned the ignition key and drove the van to Canada. So it's like, yeah, that's the important role. But see, honestly speaking, when I've obviously if we've had time to think about it, this story, this boy story is ultimately about Butcher, Huey, and Homelander and all those characters, right?
Thank you.
I don't really, yeah, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, or MM, and Kimiko, Starlight, Deep, all of those characters, the ones that we've started right from season one. So bringing Gen V into it, I was intrigued, but honestly, at the end of the day, it had to be between these guys. Like there was no way that Murray was going to be the one to defeat Homelander. I think I would have been more upset by that than I did with this because
But I think like I don't think the idea would have been that at all, in the sense that I did think that Marie would play a part, in the sense that she would help.
yeah,
Um,
but I mean, I thought with the fact that she'd be in the final battle, she'd take the V1 out of him or whatever, right? Using the blood bending power that she has to draw out whatever, either the blue. whatever, what is it called? V? Compound V? Yeah, compound
One.
V. Yeah, so either to take that out or to, I mean, then we finally learn about V1. So I thought it'd be something like that, but yeah, it was disappointing because, just for the fact of why, because they brought it up in Gen V season 2 and that ending of
Yeah.
what they were promising. So, like I said, if it wasn't for that, I would have just gone into this thinking, yeah, we're just going to have a final showdown between the boys cast, and I think that would have been okay for me.
So for me, like again, like along the same lines, right? Like I thought there was a bigger role for Marie to play, and that was clearly while like, and they did have some really good characters in Genevieve. First of all, like
Yeah,
that show in itself is not a bad show whatsoever. Like it's a good show in its own standing. Um, but the point, like you said, is like when you connect both of them, you could have easily just kept them apart, but you chose to do it. And then
yeah,
once you've chosen to do it, you decide not to go through with it for whatsoever reason. Don't do that. Why are you doing that? Like you might as well not just bring them together. Just keep them apart wherever. Like send them to Canada in that very this thing before. Why even get them involved into this whole
yeah.
grand aspect of, oh, you're gonna be part of the rebellion, and like things are gonna like
I mean,
really.
technically they are a part of it, but
Yeah,
not
but
the part that we were envisioning it to be.
yeah, true. Yeah. It's still a very critical part, but not
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things in terms of what we thought would be the end game, with especially with the kind of powers she holds and how it's shown to be developing and how she could play a part, and then to kind of take all of it's like basically promising that she's gonna be the chosen one, or a
In a way.
kind of chosen one in terms of like being Jon Snow, and then completely saying, no, screw you, we're not doing that, we're kind of having someone else. I mean, they still have a Jon Snow in terms of Carl. Like, if it wasn't Carl Urban's character delivering that final blow to Anthony's character and Huey not being there as well, that would have been complete shit in terms of like the whole this
Yeah.
thing, right? Like, it's so it's so weird to say that that landing was so freaking rough, but they still somehow managed to get the right pieces in place where it absolutely mattered.
I,
Like
I'm glad they didn't go the route of like, oh, fans would have predicted this, so let's go full left field and do
exactly,
something
yeah,
completely
yeah,
different, right?
yeah. I wouldn't
Um,
have liked it if it was Marie that completely just
yeah,
killed off Homelander, right? And that wouldn't have been like it wouldn't have felt like um what's his name? Butcher's journey was like fulfilled in the way it should have been and stuff.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I love the fact that the kid comes back to help out and all of that
Hmm,
stuff. Uh, that's all very well done. My only problem is a lot of the characters were sidelined,
yeah.
and I strongly feel like Homelander was nerfed in the way that it felt a little too easy to take him out at the end. Like this is a guy who can reach what Mark 5 or Mark 6 in no
Yeah,
time.
so yeah,
And
so
okay, I get it. They're strong. They've got this
so
gen.
I think we move on to that because I think we're done with the Gen V side of things. So we kind of agree on our opinions of, you know, that we are disappointed that Gen V was sidelined, but at the end of the day, maybe, it was a little bit for the best because at the end of the day, it's a boy's story, right?
Even this one, right? I mean, again, they're setting up maybe a sequel or whatever it is with
Prequel,
who? No,
Soldier Boy.
it's separate. I know that. Not no, no, I'm not talking about that. Soldier Boy, I get it. Like they have again, like they put him on freezer or whatever. That could potentially lead to a sequel as well. Maybe
Hmm.
after the prequel is done. But more crucially, I'm talking about the person who was like the main head of um
Oh, Gustavo Fring.
Gustavo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name in this. What is it?
Yeah, even I'm trying to, even I was trying to break my head over it. Yeah,
Head
I
of
can't
the
think
head
of
of
it.
what
Yeah,
basically, right?
yeah.
Like the former head and now again the head.
Yeah,
Uh,
so it was so weird. So because there was this whole thing of like, okay, we'll talk about sideline characters because that's also a main thing. So I think with him, there was that whole big deal of Deep bringing him to Homelander because he knew the location of V1, and I thought it was going to set up a grander scheme of things, but they just locked him up in a cupboard. I mean, locked him up in prison, and he just ended up out of that prison to again be the head of Vought, which I guess makes sense because technically that was his aim, right? That was his ultimate goal was to take back Vought, which is what he I think mentions to MM at one point.
Yeah. Which is fine. But the thing is, we also know this guy to be very shrewd and this thing. So I would have thought he would have been there in terms of scheming on, like, telling these guys these are the things you've done wrong in terms of getting Homelander, right? Like
Yeah.
that makes sense. Homelander is such a big threat that it would make sense to have the people who've been in his inner circle, which is why Sage is like a massive win when she comes on over to this side. And having someone like the founder of, not the founder, but the
Not
head
yeah.
of, yeah, and who's dealt with him for so long, it would have just made sense to kind of having them strategize in terms of how to take down Homelander, as opposed to how it kind of really happens. Like it just, it feels so underdeveloped in its idea of, okay, we are desperate and we got to make it work, and this is just how we're gonna do it. Um, because even once they have the power thing, right, they've not really thought anything through. They're just like, for someone who's been dealing with Homelander for so long, it's kind of weird that they just decide to walk in that way as if Homelander's not gonna expect them to be there, kind of a thing, right? Like I think,
Yeah.
especially,
I mean, the you mean the secret tunnel from below? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It
So I get that. So Stan Edgar's his name. So yeah. So I completely agree. I think also the fact is that we do see Stan Edgar in that news report where he's taken in that press conference, right? Where
uh,
he announces that he's taken over what again. But a couple of scenes later, you get a call from the president, right? Saying that all the soups have gone loose. So what? So what are you trying to say? That he lost control straight away of the superheroes in what? Like, I don't understand. So, because,
what it's not just what superheroes, right? Like there are general superheroes. Not everyone is a part of the what this thing, like, isn't that how it is? Like the seven are
yeah,
obvious.
yeah, I get that. But okay, did the president say what superheroes, or he just meant superheroes in general? Because, okay, that could be true, that it's not only what, but yeah.
No, yeah, it is the superheroes in general because it makes sense, right? Like, see that bit makes sense to me in the sense that all this while no one ever like even thought of challenging what, because of Homelander. Like
Yeah,
Homelander is by far the strongest superhero, or supervillain in this case. I don't know.
yeah.
I think less like the part that is, the thing is, now that he's gone, there is a clear power grab there, like who takes up that mantle or who takes up that position and all of that stuff. So that completely explains the ensuing chaos there, which is why they're trying to recruit Huey, which would be a similar role to what I think Butcher and the gang played early on,
Hmm.
or gang that the team that they used to deal with, the
Yeah.
CI.
Yeah, the like Mallory and all of those people,
Salary,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
similar team kind of a thing, that they would kind of put together and then work on bringing everything under control or such. So that's very clear for me in that aspect. Um, but with regards to some of the other key players, again, like Deep, it's like I don't know. Like, are we jumping into the like? Do we jump
No,
into
so
the?
I just wanted one more character that I thought probably was I didn't quite. enjoyed. I mean, we did mention Soldier Boy, right? Which I felt, given the ending that he had, like, why, what was the point? Because you brought him from the dead, you killed him off in the first episode with the virus, technically killed him off, right? He comes back to life because of V1, right? Or he doesn't die because of V1. Then you set up this whole V1 experiment. The interesting dynamic I like between Soldier Boy and Homelander, because there is that father-son relationship that doesn't is not really clicking, but is also kind of like he cares about Homelander because of Clara, which is Stormfront, who we all know would be Homelander's mother, and like that kind of been very hinted upon. And so with all that being said, and then at the end, he just gets choked out and been put in the box again, right? Like I think this is, like you mentioned, this probably setting up for something later on, the possibility of something later on. But even so, I think it felt very why, right? And because he had the blast, and you've transferred that blast to Kimiko, I just felt like you had a guy who could have done that, right? Like, why have Kimiko go through that entire pain and give her the same power? Like, it just felt, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of it because, fine, if you killed Soldier Boy, fair, because you do need to replicate his power, right? But I think, given that Soldier Boy is still alive, my worst comes to worst, you could have just released him again. You probably would have now been pissed off at Homelander, and then he could have used the power, right? So I didn't really, it didn't, from it, that felt disjointed for me. Like, bringing someone like Soldier Boy, maybe have trying to explain this father-son dynamic, having an interesting sort of ending where he gives V1 to Homelander instead of, that was the twist there, right? Because Sage says that she he would not side with Homelander, but he does. And that would set up for a massive final battle where Soldier Boy would probably be on Homelander's side and fight against Butcher and the guys. But the next episode is that he gets choked out because he wants to go to South America and blow his brains out. And yeah, just
I don't know. For me, the Kimiko arc was a good one. And also it made sense in the sense that Sage had to come on over to the good side, and there had to be a way to kind of make that work, because if she stayed on Homelander's side, it would have been extremely difficult for them to kind of break through that whole, like, outsmarter, because she is supposed to be one of the smartest, if not the smartest in the series. So the fact that she came on over, and then was a part of kind of recreating and I'm glad that it was not Soldier Boy. Reason being, I, I would have hated it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, not gonna do
no,
it. Like,
I get that. And I didn't like that as well. Like, he kept switching sides like it's nobody's
yeah.
business, right? I I just felt that maybe there could have been a better way around it rather than just recreating the power. I did like Sage, switching sides in a way, because I think
But I also like
throughout this, yeah.
the fact that, like, Frenchie is trying to recreate it, and it is absolutely clear that by himself,
Well,
no
one
matter
moment.
how
The
smart.
the net
Yeah,
is just, yeah. One, just give me a second. Why is it gone off? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I like, for me it made complete sense in the sense that Frenchie by himself, like, he's struggling to recreate that formula, right? Like, even though he knows that he's got the basic steps of how they did it and all of that stuff, but even then he's struggling to recreate the exact makes or whatever it is in terms of getting those powers for Kimiko. And he's struggling seeing her struggle and be on the brink of death multiple times over and over, right? And I love that aspect because it also has got that the romantic thing where, like,
Hmm.
his love for Kimiko is showing through, and how he doesn't want to lose her. And he's like kind of putting everything aside to kind of really like in a way beg Sage to help him recreate the formula and stuff like that. And then the eventual this thing that once Sage is on board, it doesn't take them long at all. Like the first try in itself, and they've cracked the formula in terms of what needs to be done, right? And I liked all of that. Like for me, that wasn't a problem. I felt like that was good, and I think Kimiko getting that power and then being someone who took away that strength from Homelander was a good choice. Reason being with what happens to Frenchie, right? Like in terms
Yeah,
of
I
how
mean, yeah,
uh,
yeah,
kills him off, or leaves him to die, basically.
yeah.
Um, it was a earned this thing that she would get that what do you say, the revenge that she's seeking for, in terms of she doesn't kill him off, but effectively does so by like ripping his entire gen what sorry the blood, what is that, V1
Compound V. Yeah,
on V
V1 and Compound V, right? Like
something.
essentially just stripping away his entire personality, man. That's about it because the kind of the switch that we see. And okay, so I think we
To that
probably
point,
are,
though, we'll move on.
yeah.
When that happens, the first thing that was popping in my head was like, take away that armor and this thing, and what are you, kind of a thing. Brilliant philanthropist and so on. Like, you
Yeah.
take that away from Homelander, and who is he? He's a whiny little baby, is what he is.
Yeah, which we knew about Homelander, right?
Yeah.
We've always known about Homelander to like strip him away from his powers, and we always knew the sort of man baby that he was. And it was, I think, the best thing that we saw, like the best thing about that show was that entire sh that episode or that scene, right? Where after losing his power, he tries to laser butcher, right? And I like that there's no sound, there's no background music whatsoever. He's just like completely lost. And I like the fact that he tries to fly, but he
Yeah,
just
that's become a
jumps.
meme, by the way, already. Like it's
Yeah,
starring through the internet right now. So it's insane how big an impact that scene has already made. Like, oh my God! Like I said, I can't. For me, that was the highlight of the season finale, right? Like, uh, that scene where he is just basically trying so hard to be Homelander for that first few seconds after his powers have been stripped away. Uh, Such a brilliant performance, and then how that when that realization hits, how his whole demeanor changes, and how he's at his
yeah,
feet to kind of just ask for mercy from this person who he's been, well, in his way, he says that he's been showing mercy to him by not
yeah,
killing him
yeah.
on multiple. Which, if you think about it, yeah, like, it is true. Like he could have easily killed him much earlier on, but he kept him alive for his own this thing, right? In the sense
Yeah,
that,
it's like why
like,
Batman keeps the Joker alive, right?
yeah,
It's just maybe at times, but here I guess it's the shoes on the other foot where it's probably he likes to play with his food a little more, yeah, before finally eating it. And I think that was fun. I don't know why he thought proposing that a shapeshifter be Becca would do any good. Because that I was like, oh, that's the final nail in the coffin, dude. You should have just shut up, right? But no, it was satisfying. It was a very satisfying ending. But I do agree with you that, see, okay, I mean, the final battle, while I like that it was maybe in an enclosed space and in the White House, in the Oval Office, all of that, it was fun. I do agree that I probably did not get that same sort of goosebumpy feeling that I'm finally seeing the takedown and the beating and the end of one of the most despised characters, right? I had that with Joffrey, right? In a way.
yeah.
But here it just felt like he's got. So what I mean, we're talking a lot about what we didn't like, and it's fine because we gave it a two, right? But you set up Homelander having V1, right?
Mm.
And I get the point. I was talking to somebody
Him
about it, and
much
he said,
stronger than what he
yeah,
was.
but I get it. And I was talking to someone, I was like, you really didn't see the full potential of how evil and how bad it could be.
Yeah.
But I think so the answer I got back was that, but with Homelander, it's always been what can he do? It's just the notion of Homelander having V1 and being immortal is scary enough, right? And I get that. I just did not see that in the way that they were showing it. I think it was fine. I think just the fact that he has immortality. I mean, Homelander did not have to do a lot of things that he's done, right, in the past. And he was scary just being Homelander, right? Now, Homelander being immortal, even if he was just there, would have been worse. It's just that him going the whole God route, I didn't think showed his entire full potential of how dangerous an immortal Homelander could have been. I'm not asking him to go and massacre people. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But just that presence of Homelander being immortal and, you know, I guess in a way God, but the way they showed it, I just didn't feel that like that immense nervousness of oh no, oh shit. Like I got nervous the moment he injected V1.
Hmm.
Right. And then he shot that laser into the sky. I was like, oh, things are going to go
Crazy.
way. But also, what I didn't like was that we only had 2 episodes after that.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
leaving
we
so
spent we spent like 4 5 episodes finding V1. I felt like if you'd done that in episode 3 and we had 5 episodes of an immortal Homelander, yeah, I would have been a little more scared a bit, and that end fight may have been, even if it was in an enclosed space, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, like fair, maybe.
and also I think you don't sit with things a little as much as you should, right? Like I would think maybe giving us Frenchie's death a little sooner would kind of let you kind of feel that like the series has ended basically, but it's it's about like letting you feel that burn kind of a thing, which you don't as much because it's only a moment and then you're straight down into the action, but trying
Yeah.
to get that revenge and all of that stuff. I think like those kind of things, if they'd done it a little earlier, like pacing is a massive issue with this season in terms of where what is placed and how much they leave for the end. And I'm completely of the opinion, same thing, right? Like you, it is only in mind that you think that he's gone or ascended to the next level, but like you don't see it, you don't feel it. Like I still feel the same presence that I did before, like when he does the Frenchie does the tap on the thing and he suddenly comes. That's the same level of fear as seen, not fear per se, but for the character in itself, what I felt previously in any this thing,
Yeah.
right? Like I feel like you kind of had it better in terms of without even the V1 being there, like how he chases
Hmm.
down A Train right at the beginning. That start off was promising. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, cool. That looks good. Like we might be in for a good season. And then
and
it
and
just
we were and we were also going to be in for a lot of deaths, which I want to ask you, were you surprised by the number of people, at least from the good side, who survived?
yeah, I was. I thought MM was for sure gonna go. I even really thought maybe like Huey will bite the dust this time around kind of thing.
No.
The thing is like I'm glad Starlight and he got that end. But I felt like again like if they did to Huey what they had done to him immediately like in the first season where the girl is gone again, like if Starlight is killed off and again Huey survives, I don't think that's doing
No.
justice to his arc kind of a thing. I would have again it as cliched as it would seem, I would think it would be his what do you say? Uh like him sacrificing himself for Starlight in whatever way or some, and she lives on maybe with his child or whatever it is. Like in this thing is, but I did definitely expect a lot more deaths. Um,
So I
like
I expected. So I thought with if Gen V was involved, I thought we were going to see a lot of death from their end as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's the thing. I think especially that episode which was titled "The French." the French guy, the woman, and the one they call Mother's Milk, which is like the second last episode. Right? When you name something like that, I was like expecting something huge to happen. Of course, uh, the Frenchman does pass away, but I think I was expecting a little more in terms of collateral damage to be done to the good side. I don't think Huey and Starlight I expected anything. I think that was a fair enough ending that I expected. But I definitely expected maybe even Kimiko, Frenchie, Mother's Milk, they were all up for the take, right? But
Yeah.
and
I
yeah.
did expect Mother's Milk demise, but Kimiko not so much, especially once they took Frenchie away, it didn't make sense. Because
Oh,
I
but
love
that
the
was
fact
like
that
the
she
second
did,
last
by
episode.
the way, that scene where she's in that cafe, it had a very Dark Knight-esque
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
feeling to it, right? Like Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
Uh,
the last one. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, feeling to it, and I'm like, she'll look across this thing and she'll see Frenchie sitting
Did
there.
you? Yeah, yeah. I thought the same. I thought the same. They see like she bites into the Madeline biscuit and then
Yeah.
like cake, and then she looks across and he's sitting there like a figment of her imagination. But I'm glad that I did get the same vibe. I definitely got the same vibe. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know what happens. Like even Newman's daughter or Stan Edgar's granddaughter, all of that was like kept aside, and I thought they would all have this sort of Avengers Endgame sort of moment. But yeah,
Yeah, but the problem with this, like again, I think it's inherently clear that they're not done with the boys when they say they're
yeah,
done with the boys. They're only done with the main core group of the boys. Everyone around it, and like even Starlight and all, I don't know if they're completely done. Okay, maybe Starlight is done, but will the child come into frame at some point? We
yeah,
don't know. Maybe. The problem with the series these days is it's always about spin-offs, sequels, and all of that stuff. So you never really you think you're getting an ending, but you're never really truly getting an ending. Because I feel like in that span of this thing, like even if the person who's scripting things, they're not allowed to kind of end it the way they want to end it because they are asked to keep some of it alive so that the story can kind of
yeah.
live on in whatever shape or form kind of a thing. So because that earns money. So
Uh, I guess another character whose ending we need to talk about, the Deep, right?
exactly. I was jumping the gun earlier on this, but
Yeah.
like again, like Deep and Starlight, yes, absolutely. Had to be
Yes.
Starlight. No doubt about that. But her blasting him off right next to the ocean when she doesn't know that the
It was
ocean is
hilarious.
looking like they're looking to take him out. I don't understand why would you go to the point where deep is probably the strongest, right? Like in the ocean,
Yeah,
have the
yeah.
knowledge of because he's the what Lord of the Seven Seas or whatever
But
stuff.
yeah, but honestly, Starlight, I mean, none of these characters are the brightest of the lot, right? And I think from her end, it was just like, I'll take him no matter what. I like the fact that she didn't know that the ocean was against the deep. 'Cause she's like confused, like what the fuck's happening? I thought he's gonna come back at me like with the full army of ocean creatures. And I think that's what she was ready to take on. I like that hilarious take of her just looking so bewildered while Deep's getting. And was it an octopus or a squid's tentacles rammed up his ass from ass to mouth, right?
I
And
think it was the octopus from the Remarkably Bright Creatures.
yeah, yeah, Marcellus finally got his revenge. But it was nice. I liked Samuel Jackson also being the hammerhead shark. I loved that scene, especially where he's like, "Oh, you're littering. Come and why don't you take the scan out of the water?" Like basically tempting him to come in so that they could basically kill his ass.
Even the
Um,
scene. So some of the best scenes are like when you see Deep, like he's in the frame where he's having those conversations initially with the shark, but also um that part where he's supposed to save that guy, but he's too scared to get into the water. Those are like brilliant. Like that's the stuff that was like that remind you of what Boys season and one and two were like, right? Like I think those are the parts that are really good, kind of a thing. And
I
um,
also with the deep, I kind of was hesitant or apprehensive if they were going to go that he was going to switch sides after Homelander basically called him a worthless creature, right? But I love the fact that he still was so stupid enough to think that that was a test when he saw Starlight and everyone come in. He's like, "Oh, that's a test. Oh, this is a reward for my loyalty." I loved, and also the fact that he screams like a man baby when he says no after Starlight tells him that it was all his fault for the choices that he made, right? Because he was blaming everything on her. And yeah, it was. I think that was one character that I think played exactly to what that character was right from series one to series
yeah.
five.
And like it just made sense also. His demise at the hands of his own peers in a certain way. Right? Like that was pretty cool. Considering what he's done to his peers, it just made sense that it would come back to him, kind of a thing. So that's really nice in that aspect. And honestly, the better part of the series finale in terms of general this thing. Like his name I forget, but he is a good actor. Like throughout,
Chase,
uh, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. I know him from Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl, yeah.
That's how I
Everyone
know.
knows him from everyone knows him from
Uh,
Gossip Girl. But the other characters that we probably have to mention who played a good part. Let's talk about endings, right? So, Firecracker, right?
yeah. That
What an
whole
end.
yeah, just like the fact that she does not really truly believe in him, even though she makes it seem like she does, kind of a thing, and how she's like really struggling with her own faith and um especially with people she's known from her early years and stuff. And even then, because of how scared she is, how she kind of like turns on them and all of that stuff, but even that doesn't help her case
No.
right at the end, right? Like and just the way she's kind of done away with was like brilliant, like insane. And she's by the way, she is actually in
Detroit.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was crazy.
And then after that, we have the fate of Ashley, which I'm glad she survived, but I love the fact that she says, I'm not going to resign, and then immediately, former president. I was like,
I
yes.
know. That was crazy. Oh my God. Even that thing, like the uh oh father, what is his name?
Oh, father. Yeah.
Father. Oh my God. The way he's killed off, like brilliant. Insane. Something that was meant for his pleasure becomes his demise, kind of a thing. It was insane how they dealt with that. It's
I love the character. Honestly, he was such a perfect addition to the boys. I
yeah.
loved his voice. I loved the whole. So I know we've kind of said that maybe going this God or religion type was maybe not the best choice, but my God, he made it work like so well with the whole Democratic Church of America, Homelander being God,
I
all of
don't
it.
mind honestly like going down that this thing of the God aspect of it because makes sense. It's Homelander. Like,
Yeah,
that's what you
true.
think of that kind of thing. So that's not my aspect. Like that's not my issue. My only thing is like uh, I just don't feel like everything had to revolve around that perspective. Like
Hmm.
it became very much focused on that aspect, and even some of the things like the rich man, like fly him off to space and all of that stuff, which I think we all know who they're kind of
Yeah.
hinting at. It if it comes naturally into the story, it makes sense. But in this case, I don't think it.
So yeah, I think the church aspect and the God aspect was played out a little too much. Like I think it again, it's all down to how well the episodes are structured, and I feel like this could have come early on, right? Then you find the doubters and all that. You're immortal. You then rage, wreak havoc. That plays a bigger part, and then maybe have an ending to it. So yeah, it's just you're right. I think it's just a matter of just when you I don't know how one plans the series or whatever, but when you plan it like I would have thought it's just natural that you realize you're spending way too much time in you know
Hmm.
setting up something, and when you're writing it, it just feels like, come on, you would have noticed that you're leaving too much too late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I also wonder like how much of it is down to them in itself. Maybe they don't want that kind of a thing, but they kind of pushed into certain things and then they have to like figure out the way around it kind of a thing. So
I don't know, but ideally when you're writing something, or you see there've not been any issues, like unlike the DC stuff where they've said, oh, director's cut and all that, right? There's no issues per se here. So I don't think you may be right in saying that there might be executive decisions made that don't we want to keep certain characters alive for maybe possible future shows, but I think from just writing this series, like whenever you're in a writer's room, or you just want to make sure that you're pacing it out correct. So I just felt that was a
yeah.
bit off, and I think that's what can ruin a lot of these shows. And the thing is just that you're leaving too much for too late.
Yeah. And like by the time you arrive at where you should, you're already like, oh, I need to wrap this up, I need to wrap this up, I need to wrap that up too. Like it's just,
Yeah,
and the problem is also like you keep throwing too many things into the broth, like it's let what ingredients are already there, let that sit and simmer and you work with that. Don't just keep adding stuff to add more a taste into that or whatever, because eventually it's gonna get like really bad, like when you
yeah.
mix too many things in there kind of a thing. So
Keep it simple, stupid.
yeah, exactly right. Like, I mean, choose your ingredients, the main ones, and like let's just let
Run
that,
with it.
yeah, kind of a thing. So for me, that is a major concern with this series, and that's what you makes you sad as well, right? Like when something has been something you speak so highly of, like every other time I would like this is one of the series I would say like, oh, you have to watch kind of
Yeah.
thing. By the time you kind of arrive to the end of the series, you're like, maybe
So
they can.
okay, I mean,
Like,
we've spoken a lot about it, and I'm glad you brought it up, which is, would you recommend this now to people?
see, the good thing is, like I said, their landing is rough. Like they've lost their wings. The plane is cut in half, but the people are
Just
still
like
alive. That is what I would
just like
say.
just like Homelander in season one, was it when he lasers the aircraft?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
In this case, like people are still alive. They're broken a leg, fractured, and all of that stuff. But you can still save them. There are probably a few ICU cases in there who'd spend a few days in there for like at the very least, right? But the good thing is, it's not as bad as Game of Thrones. And again, like I think what helps them is the fact that we've had shows like Game of Thrones, we've had shows like Stranger Things, who've really like it was Game of Thrones, which was like really bad in terms of where it ended. Then came Stranger Things, where they do wrap up things a little okay kind of a thing, better than Game of Thrones. But when you put that into hindsight and you like compare that, you feel like, oh, Boys has done a much better job in terms
yeah.
of wrapping it up, kind of a thing, right? And that's what helps its case. But if you just take out all of that and then you look at Boys and you're like, is the journey worth it? I don't know. Like, I mean, it's a fun
Yeah.
show to watch, but is it at the level that, like, for instance, Breaking Bad, right? Breaking Bad is like insane, where it starts, where it
Yeah.
ends. It's a show. It's a slow burn. Okay, first of all, like pacing is massive issues with
Yeah.
Breaking Bad. But even then, like the story is so freaking strong, and how it ends, it feels like everyone's arc in that universe
Story.
was
Yeah.
fulfilled,
Universe. Yeah.
yeah, to the level it should have been, which is what lacks in these kind of things. Because again, like it just feels too much is left for what can come after if it does come after, kind of a thing, and just feels, don't do
Yeah.
that. Like, stop it. Like, just
Yeah.
end the story the way I, for sure, I don't think Soldier Boy should have survived, or even if he did, he should have been stripped away from his with his like from his powers, and been a
Yeah.
normal being to live out for the rest of his life or whatever and stuff like that. That would have been okay with me. But the fact that he's still there in a freaking freezer, and what is on the rise again, he's
Freezer.
going to
Yeah.
come. There's a prequel coming and brewing already, which is about Soldier Boy. It only means that eventually, when that prequel is over, most likely, depending on how people like grasp onto it, or like if they really like it, then there is going to be a sequel with Soldier Boy as the face of maybe the Seven or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah.
What this thing, and it just continues on from there, kind of a thing. So yeah, would I still recommend it? I mean, yeah, like it is a good show to watch, and like
Yeah.
but I would definitely tell them, whoever I'm saying, like, watch out for the final season. It's not at the level that the
Just
others are, especially
keep
when you
expectations a little low when you get to
oh
that fine,
yeah, yeah,
because I think up until season three, uh, your expectations go skyrocket
yeah,
high. Four's a
absolutely.
bit like, okay, we're slowing
Yeah,
down,
but
but we're
I think four
probably
is helped by Gen V season two
yeah,
drastically.
yeah,
And when you look at the grand scheme of things, those two together, it still feels like, okay, we've got something really solid
yeah,
brewing, kind of, and then it's
yeah.
like
And
completely.
honestly, you watching boys, right? And watching the first couple of episodes, I'm like, okay, there's promise here, right? But get to things quickly because you don't want to leave it. And then as I was going on, so I was talking to someone, and I was probably by episode four, they're like, oh, I hate boys. I was like, no, it's okay. But at the back of my head is like, it's okay for now. But if you continued at this pace, I get it. And then the more it went, I was like, oh shit, no, here we go again,
Yeah,
right?
it's the
And
same thing
yeah,
we did with the Game of Thrones, right? Like season seven was such a downer in terms of how things were going, but you were like, oh no, season eight is there. They're gonna rectify all of this, and it's going to mean, like, when you see it as a whole, it's like it's going to work out. That was the
yeah.
hope, and then season eight
I
happened, and
I love how every show that we do, we keep, keep criticizing and hammering down on Game of Thrones. But yes,
it's
it is.
sad, right?
It
Like, is the fact that, again, like, you you inherently give so much of yourself to the show
yeah,
because you're following it every year or every 2 years, or in certain cases every 3 years maybe, and you're invested in that show, right, to the point where, okay, I don't know about others, but I generally, like, when I watch some really good shows, I'm one of the first ones to be really vocal about it and be like, oh, you gotta watch the show. It is beyond anything else. Like, watch
yeah.
it, experience it, kind of a thing. And to then have given like 5, 10 years of your life to a show, and then it reaches that end that it's supposed to reach, from what was promised to what is actually delivered, it's like, why are you doing this? Just stop with this whole thing of, we can't do what the audience expects us to do. Screw you. You put those things in place because it meant
Yeah,
that the story was heading that way. Now don't
yeah.
just like throw it away. Oh no, we just want to, like, we wanted to mess with you. So it was like, come on, man. It's not always about this surprise factor. It's about how good the
I,
story is and how it flows. So make it makes
okay. So I get what you're doing, and in the interest of time, I think we just need to finalize on one last sort of character ending, and that is the main character himself, Butcher, right? Which I thought was proper deserved. I think that is his character. That's where the character's been building up to. And yeah, I couldn't see a happy ending. I'm glad that I'm very happy that his son decides to not be with him. Like
yeah.
that's the perfect decision there. I'm not glad, but I'm sad that Terror, passes away, which leaves him very alone and sort of in a dire situation. And I think that's the natural ending for Butcher. And I'm glad it was Huey that took him out in a way. I'm glad that he probably died doing something that his entire character believed was right as well, which is getting rid of all these soups, right? To ensure that there's no other Homelander. So yeah, I think for me, a very justified ending, and I loved his tombstone as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No doubt. Like I think his character arc is brilliantly done in this series, and so is Huey's in itself, right? Like those two characters are kind of bonded together in a very brotherly kind of way from the beginning, and it is just that his demise comes at the hands of Huey, in the way it happens and how Huey's personality immediately shines through, where he didn't really want to kill him, but he didn't leave him a choice, and like it happens just like that kind of a thing, and immediately there is guilt on Huey's part because he really didn't want to lose Butcher. Like a part of him didn't want to lose Butcher, but there were bigger things in play kind of a thing,
Yeah.
right? So he had to take that call kind of a thing. And that whole exchange of dialogues between them and how that thing, it just felt very warm in terms of, like, let's be very clear, Butcher is not a good person. There's no doubt
No.
about it. He's not a
Yeah.
good person. But he was doing what was necessary to make sure that the world lived on or had a future at some point. Because like you
I
have to
mean, technically, he was doing it for revenge for Becca.
exactly, but like in it just helped that it served a grander purpose, right? Kind
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
thing. Like,
yeah,
but again, like th- to the point where he kills Homelander, that is personal revenge. But the fact that he can't stop after that is that he doesn't want that situation of another Homelander to be there. That part I don't think is out of revenge. It's more of he doesn't want anyone else to go through what he's gone through, is what I
yeah,
think. So I think there is the asshole butcher, and then there's that little human butcher in there kind of a thing. I get his reasoning to wanting to end. Like honestly, like if you put me in there kind of a thing, like in his place, and as understanding as I can be of both sides, I think even I would agree that in the kind of world that is built in boys and how the soups generally behave, it
yeah,
just makes sense to kind of,
yeah,
I don't know about putting an end to everyone kind of a thing, but like at least keeping a very, very strong control on them, because when those leashes come off, they are tyrants. And then at a later point, you can't do anything about it. Like
yeah.
there's no,
You can.
yeah,
But with Butcher gone now, it'll be very interesting, like because you thought he was the probably the only one that could band everyone together, unite everyone together in order to defeat the bad people, and he always had a plan in place. The one thing I liked about Butcher is that no matter how bad the plan was or how close to death the plan was going to bring everyone, he still seemed very confident, right? Like I
yeah,
think as a captain, that confidence sort of spread to other people, like, okay, at least he's not that worried, right? Because Huey would panic the moment he sees something wrong, right?
yeah,
So would Mother MM, Kimiko, okay, but like, so Butcher's the only one who like stuck to his plans, like, we are going to do this, and it eventually
exactly.
worked. I love the fact that I love the sort of eulogy that Huey gives at the end and the tombstone. So I guess in the words of
I also liked this one's Frenchie's this thing, the farewell, the senior
yeah,
asshole, senior asshole,
I
and
have
like this
seen
whole thing
Earl
that
of yeah,
leads to this thing that's saying that they're a family, and that's how he
yeah,
kind of acknowledges the fact that they're a family. Like he's seen each of their assholes kind of thing, and that is so like that eases Frenchie's loss, like in a certain way, like it feels like, oh my god, like he's gone, but he's left with uh, a very, I don't know, like a warm feeling kind of a thing, with all those light-hearted jokes and stuff like in there kind of a thing, but also leaving a very credible message for everyone that has been a major part of his life in whatever shape or form, kind of a thing, right? Like that was really nice to see. Um,
Yeah.
like
So I guess we've probably delved into what all we could for season five of The Boys, while also discussing. I mean, I guess we spoke more about the bad than the good, but hopefully we've justified our ratings for the season and series, and let's see
we will
what
do a
is.
rank the favorite seasons kind of a thing for boys at some point, I think, because it's only fair we do so at some point, because there are five to pick from. So,
Yeah.
and maybe
Plus Gen V, I guess now that
actually
it's
Gen
been
V
cancelled. Yeah,
in
yeah. But apart from that, that's all that we have for this.
one last thing. Here's hoping that with Huey and Starlight still alive, I don't hope they bring them out of retirement or whatever for whatever
Well,
reason.
he
It's not that
basically
Starlight
he.
gets killed off and
Uh,
then suddenly Huey is like, "Oh, I've got the kid now. I'll train the kid to become like the
yeah.
next some shit like that." I really don't hope we go down that way. But
I don't think both of them will come out of. I mean, she's still kind of doing sort of cop jobs currently, but I don't think they're going to come out of retirement because he basically nixed that idea straight away, right?
for now,
When the president, for now,
because
yeah. But
there's
you're right. But
a
if what you say happens, then yeah, that's probably what could be a potential spin-off. But yes, that's a topic to discuss as and when that happens. But I suppose that's about it for our review of season five of The Boys. Don't forget to hit the like button, share with friends and family, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. We're doing now regular stuff on a daily basis, games and fun ranking stuff, all of that. So do follow us on that as well. And I guess I will leave you with the immortal words of Butcher. Oi, fuck off, you.